Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, Cynicalex, and today we have the patch notes for the upcoming Loki War Machine 3099 update. Now this is going to be a mid-month rolling update, so like most of the other ones, there will not be any downtime maintenance, and they go over that here, letting us know that the patches are going to start rolling out at 9 p.m. Pacific, which is midnight for all you East Coast folks, and then later into the next day, the 18th, for people in Europe, Africa, Asia, Oceania, etc. So yeah, it's a rolling patch, which means you'll just be playing the game. Nothing will prompt you. If you close the game and reopen the game around this time, translate it into your time zone, you'll then be prompted to download a patch. And then when you download the patch, this uniform will be available for purchase, and War Machine's Tier 3 will be available for Tier 3ing, and then the 2 Synergy Loki uniforms will be available as well. So everything we predicted about this update has come to fruition. War Machine is getting a Tier 3, Loki is getting Synergy uniforms, but that's it. So I know that's going to disappoint some people. They were hoping for Sylvie, they were hoping for, different Lokis to appear or what have you. But yeah, this is what we're getting. It's a little bit small compared to some of the other mid-month patches we've gotten recently, but judging by the sneak peeks or the leaks we've gotten recently, if you've been on Twitter, not Twitch, well Twitch, but also Twitter, it appears that Shang-Chi is the next full update. I probably should have made a video about that, but yeah, maybe I'll make one this afternoon. So yeah, here we go. We're gonna read through the effects and see how these characters look on paper, because they're basically, to more or less, they're new characters because of these transformations. So War Machine, pretty interesting, pretty interesting character. He's getting a ton of buffs. We've basically already seen these buffs. I haven't gone ahead and compared the buffs, whether they are the same as what appears in game now. It appears that they're the same. The big ones anyways are actually the passives, because of just how strong they are, how many different stats he gives. And I think the one that you're going to want to remember, in case you forgot, is that his resistant armor passive with this uniform applies to all technokinetic allies. And just to give you guys a quick refresher here, technokinetic allies are allies that have the machine ability. So if you go here and you find, if I can find it. Oh, I'm blind. Okay. The machine ability. There we go. Not leadership. All of these characters will get, if you put them on the same team as War Machine with his new uniform, they're going to get 40% attack, 40% defense, and 30% HP. These are huge for both PvE and PvP, basically all game modes. And the interesting thing about this patch is more characters are being added retroactively that have the machine ability. We're not getting new characters, but just existing characters are having the machine ability added. So they're really pushing this synergy between machine type characters, which I really like. So War Machine just looks really busted. He looks really fun to play. Hopefully with his Tier 3, he will be super duper busted. Then as far as Loki goes, both uniforms are actually villain uniforms, which is a little bit surprising to me. They didn't decide to switch it up and make one of them a hero uniform. Perhaps they just didn't want one to clearly be more valuable than the other, whether it's for ABX or whether it's for other content. But yeah, it is what it is. Maybe they just, Marvel wants Loki, despite his growth as an Asgardian, they want him to still remain a villain for all intents and purposes, right? Like, they don't want that nuance. Probably we're never going to see characters that have no side, right? Because if they're not willing to give it to Loki, the at least neutral, then they're probably not going to give it to anybody else. But it's okay. So what's interesting about this Loki uniform is they appear to want to make changes between the two uniforms to differentiate them. So for example, you've got chain hit here and 30% ignore dodge. And then here you've got chain hit and 30% ignore dodge. So it's the same. But then if you look at the Trickster passive, it's a little bit different. Here we have 30% crit, energy attack, and 25% guaranteed crit rate. So this 25% guaranteed crit rate synergizes heavily with the CTP of Rage. And that is the best CTP right now for Loki. We don't know if it's going to remain the best CTP for him, but we'll have to wait and see. On the flip side, though, he loses that 25%. He keeps the 30% energy attack, but he loses the 25% guaranteed crit rate. And then instead, when he uses one of his skills that has mind control, dominance of spirit is the same thing as charm, change of heart, mind control. When he uses that, he gets a 50% damage reduction for 10 seconds, which is huge for PvP. And then he gets a 15% heal every second for 8 seconds. That's busted. That's really high. A 15% heal ticking off for 8 seconds. Sure, there's a 4-second cooldown until you can use it again, but that's pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts. So yeah, that's really the big change between these two uniforms. But for all other comparisons, it seems that the President Loki uniform is better than the TVA Loki uniform. Now, I'm just saying that based on what we see on paper, because, you know, as good as the 25% guaranteed crit is, damage reduction and healing is a little bit stronger. Not to mention the fact that you have some additional effects on his skills that you don't have on the TVA Loki. So for example, you've got the 3 seconds of mind control in order to trigger his trickster passive on deceptive oration. You've also got damage received that applies to enemies, not to allies. Damage received increased by 10% for 3 seconds. He also has silence, paralysis, and burn on his skills, which appears to be, you know, all 3 of the required effects for ABX. He has paralysis, he has paralysis, he has paralysis. That's it. And he's got burn. So he does not get silence on this other uniform, this TVA Loki uniform. So both offensively and defensively, again, besides the guaranteed crit rate, it appears that the presidential Loki is better. I'm just saying it appears that it's better because, you know, the patch notes only give us part of the story. Really, we're going to have to test these skills and see what they do. But if you also look at the percentages and damage, he does more damage with presidential Loki. You can see 108% on the 4th skill versus 125. You also have 145 on 3 versus 130 on 3. Now, these skills have different names. So you can see here, Vanishing Dagger, Variant Magic versus Deceptive Oration, Rule of Power, and then Illusion Field versus Endless Mischief. So it seems like we're going to have at least 6 new skills, possibly 7 new skills across the 2 uniforms. The only the only skill that seems to be copied, that seems to be exactly the same from the Agent of Asgard Loki that we have now, is the Serpentine Spear, his 5th skill. And that's a pretty cool 5th skill, to be honest with you. It's really cool with SFX on. So yeah, I don't mind keeping that one, but we'll have to wait and see. It's interesting. I think it's probably going to cause some confusion in the community. But yeah, I don't think that they wanted to be, obviously, it didn't seem like the devs wanted to be very experimental with the Loki stuff, which maybe in a way kind of makes sense because it's the Disney Plus stuff. They just want it to be very cut and dry in the sense of like, this is this, that is that. They don't want to, you know, muddy the water too much. But no Sylvie, no super spicy experimentation with Loki. May leave some of the more, you know, may leave some people in the community a little bit bored or sort of yearning for more. I gotta say, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It doesn't seem too exciting. Not exciting, but it you know, it doesn't seem too unique here between the 2 uniforms. I wonder if maybe you're just going to be buying the synergy, and by the way, it does have the synergy effect, so you really only spend 1,700 crystals to get both of them rather than 2,100. Even though it has the synergy, you may just be buying the synergy just for the additional 5% attack and defense, which I don't really like, right? It's like the Spider-Man situation where they're both bad and one of them is just slightly better. So you're basically just, everyone's buying the stealth suit and then the red suit is just for the synergy bonus, right? We don't want that. When we get synergy uniforms, we want them to both be good for different things. That's sort of the ideal situation. They can't really complement each other because you can't wear them both and you can't swap uniforms mid stage, mid fight. So they have to do different things. That's really the only way they can interact with each other in a way that makes sense and is satisfying. So yeah. And then, well, collectionists have to buy it. And then we have the tier 3 skill for War Machine. We have the animation and we have the buffs. The buffs are pretty short. He gets penetration. He gets 100% increased charge rate to his accumulation effect. And then he gets damage. But with the short effects, you have a very long animation. Very, very long animation, similar to Captain America Falcon, sort of sweeping, flying motion. And it looks really cool, I gotta say. His eyes glow, he flies up, and then he just carpet bombs the hell out of you, and he turns you into dust particles. Like, he leaves no survivors. Over 800 hits. He just blows the whole stage to Kingdom Come. And I gotta say, it does look really cool. I can't wait. Hopefully it's as strong as it looks, because it looks hella strong. So that's pretty cool. So we'll have to wait and see. The only thing to point out is that his tier 3 has specific synergy with the accumulate effect, which means you should not really tier 3 War Machine unless you're going to buy this uniform. That's already obvious, but it just begs repeating, because otherwise his tier 3 has an effect that he can't take advantage of, because none of his other old uniforms have accumulation. So yeah, it's a little bit wonky in that sense, but yeah. And then we have some changes. Some good, some bad, some confusing. Well, all confusing. But anyways, the event craft materials, the ice cream cones, will no longer be available from dispatch after the patch. So yeah, what that means is you cannot farm. After this patch is applied, you will not be able to farm these materials from dispatch. I'm not sure why they're doing this. It's confusing to me. I wish they would give us a little bit of a an explanation, but just so you're fully aware, they are not going to stop the event. The event still has 3 days left on it. You'll still be able to craft things using CCF or using other materials. You just will not be able to farm extra ice cream cones from dispatch. So get all your farming in now, because it's going away a couple of days early. Again, it seems kind of petty because there's only 3 days left on the event, but yeah, I don't really have an explanation for you. It's weird. And then the machine ability, this is I hinted at this at the beginning of the video. The machine ability is being added to Destroyer, Nebula, and Cable. This is actually a pretty big deal for Cable, and it's not a bad thing for Destroyer, because it means that Destroyer and Cable, and Nebula, but Destroyer and Cable are going to get, if they're on the same team as War Machine with this uniform, they will get 40% attack, 40% defense, and 30% HP. For Destroyer, 30% defense, 30% HP, and 40% defense is a lot of stats. That's a lot of stats. He's a reflect bomb, right? It looks like there's maybe some PvP value to a Hulkbuster, War Machine, Destroyer team, right? Because then you'll get another, because he's technokinetic now, so you're going to get another 35% HP from Hulkbuster, because Hulkbuster gives all technokinetic allies, right? We've covered this, but we'll highlight it again. All technokinetic allies get 35%. So that's 65 or 65% HP to Destroyer and Hulkbuster and War Machine. Okay? And then for Cable, the 40% attack is really nice for World Boss Ultimate and World Boss Legend, because some of the stages require blast types. So you could basically tier 3 War Machine instead of a 30% attack leadership, because you're going to get more than that. You're going to get 40% leadership essentially from War Machine, right? Also, you can use them both for the superhero male climb. Lots of interesting buffs here to characters. So it'll be very interesting to see how this shakes out. But yeah, I cannot wait to test these characters. And then there's some issues. There's some bug fixes that they changed with the 3099 uniforms for Rescue, Doctor Doom, and Hulkbuster. I hadn't experienced any of these, but probably the biggest one is that Doctor Doom's third skill was causing physical reflect, and he was dying to characters like Luke Cage. They have fixed that, and now it will not deal any physical damage. So yeah, the summary of these patch notes, I'm very, 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 very excited for War Machine. and sort of the auxiliary existence of all machine type characters in the game, because it seems like War Machine is going to really pump up their stats. I am less excited for Loki, just because on paper it doesn't seem like there's much difference between these uniforms, and there's no other Loki Disney Plus content, right? There's no Sylvie, there's no anything else. We'll have to wait and see how it goes, but yeah, it seems like the Disney Plus updates may be worth less hype than, they're not quite as, they're not going to be quite as full as the regular MCU updates that we're going to be seeing very soon for Shang-Chi, Spider-Man No Way Home, Eternals, etc. Right? They're more of a side thing compared to the big, big screen in theaters MCU stuff. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe that'll change in the future. For now, maybe we just need to temper our expectations for the Disney Plus stuff so that people aren't disappointed. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.